so really, you guys saw the intro. You saw the thumbnail. He's back. Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, is back. Yes, I know. Anthony Mackie on paper is Captain America, but we know. Yes, he handed over the mantle, but it's one of those where he may have done it, but you know who, have you ever been, think of your job. You may have a supervisor, um, maybe new supervisor, and they're trying to step in and take the lead, but you're looking to the salty veteran. You know who really runs the show. It's one of those like, yeah, they say you're in charge, but we know who's in charge. But the thing I want to discuss in this video is there's a lot of people kicking up dust about this. They're pissed. We already got a Captain America. Why are you bringing him back? They're saying, oh, they don't know how to handle black characters. They're just. Here's the thing. A lot of these people that are crying and complaining, where were you at for the movie? Because I guarantee you that most of them did not go see the movie. Like I went and saw Brave New World. Matter of fact, there's a video, a review that I did over the movie. So I went out there and I saw it. And I'll say this. There's no knock on Anthony Mackie. I just think sometimes it just like certain roles just aren't for everybody. It just didn't fit. I thought he, like most people, he was an amazing Falcon. I thought he would have been great just staying as Falcon. He built that character up. There was no need for him. Just make Falcon the leader. You don't need to make him Captain America. But yeah, they did it in the comics, but just like the movie, it was, nobody paid for it. It was unsuccessful. It flopped. Brave New World flopped harder than LeBron James. And that's what they're looking at it at an emotional side. Whereas, money wise, MCU, they're hurting. They're producing nothing but flop after flop after flop. Hell, Captain America Brave New World is on Disney Plus and nobody watches it. So yeah, I mean, like I said, Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if you guys, he was on Joe Rogan a handful of years ago, and Joe Rogan basically predicted what the state of the MCU would be to get him to return, basically saying there would be a string of lackluster films from Marvel that would come out because they can use time travel, or in this instance, the multiverse, bring him back. Now, look, he's coming back not as Iron Man, but they're bringing him back to draw the fans in, because this was not the original plan. We all know that they were going to go with the Kang Dynasty, but we know what happened with Jonathan Majors. And I think even if everything that happened with Jonathan Majors, it still wasn't going to work. And so they bring him back, because bringing Robert Downey Jr. back and Chris Evans back is going to bring back the casuals, but it's just going to be a short fix, just like was it Deadpool and Wolverine? I feel that was a short fix. I mean, I watched that movie one time. I have no desire to ever watch it again. It just does, like the movies that come out now, the ones that actually make money over this and that were very few and far in between. They don't have the rewatchability that the first three phases had. And so, people, like I said, people are out here kicking up dust about it, saying they don't know Marvel doesn't know how to handle black characters. This is just a disrespect. And I think if they remove the emotional aspect of it, it's money, it's financial. If people came out and supported, and like I said, a lot of these people that are kicking up dust, that are complaining, probably didn't go see the movie. They're not watching it on Disney Plus. They're just seeing it and getting emotional. But if people actually came out and supported it, look at Black Panther. It made $1 billion. They invested heavily into it, but unfortunately, because of the passing of Chadwick Boseman, we'll never know, where, would have went from there. They should have recast it. They're starting to figure that out now. There's pretty sure now they're going to do it. They're going to recast them, but It's just, it's at the end of the day, it's about green. It's about money. That's the only color that matters. And if you're making money, you know, this shit's gonna ride. But I just think, you know, because I saw a guy online, I think his name is Soups, and he was saying that because there's a famous when Sam Wilson is Captain America, there's a famous moment in the comic book panel where he's ready to hand it back over, like, here, you're Captain America, and basically, you know, Cap says, nah, or I mean, Steve Rogers basically says, no, you're Captain America. I'm just Steve Rogers. But it's one of those, yeah, you could say that, but you're the original, you're the OG. We know you're Captain America. And I think that's what's going to happen. Like, I just don't think they both can exist like that, which I think at the end of Secret Wars, when it's all said and done, it's going to be a whole reset, and we're going to get a whole new Steve Rogers, a whole, like, everybody we've known, they're going to recast that because they got to bring the X-Men and everybody in. But as far as it goes, him coming back probably for just these two movies, Chris Evans, he's Captain America. You know, it is what it is. And like I said, I have to keep repeating this, that it's no knock on Anthony Mackie. I like Anthony Mackie. I was down with Anthony. I did another video about Anthony Mackie when he caught a lot of flack because he was talking about masculinity. So yeah, I like Anthony Mackie. I just think they shouldn't have switched it. And if they were going to switch it, they should have switched it and gave it to Bucky. I think the story wise, it made more sense for Bucky because Bucky had a lot of, even though he was under mind control, he had a lot of things he had to be redeemed for, like stuff from his past as the Winter Soldier. And then Sam Wilson being the guy who was a counselor for other soldiers would have been perfect to pair up with him like they did in the show, whereas he's struggling with everything he's going through and Sam's right there for him because he has the experience as being a veteran and dealing with veterans who have had PTSD and things of that sort. So I think that would have been the way to go about it. But I think the climate we were in at the time, they were big on, people of color getting lead roles and the MCU, as they would say. And unfortunately, like people like Anthony Mackie, good people, good actors, you set them up for failure by doing that. And I'm not saying that Anthony Mackie's not a capable. I just think for that role, I just don't think it would have worked for him just role wise. But I think him as just staying as Falcon, and I think that would have worked out perfectly. And yeah, I'm like I said, they're desperate. They're bringing the OGs back. Thor's coming back. Loki. That's what everybody's excited for because, like I said, they tried it their way, this new way, bringing in all these new characters that nobody cares about. They're still doing it. Like there's a Wonder Man show. Who in the hell wants to see that? But I think they're starting to get their shit together and realizing, we got to put this together and make it right. And they're starting by bringing the OGs back. If they do a good story with the OGs, they can somewhat maybe earn some of that fan currency back. And then when they do their reset, they've learned from the shit they did in the past. And we may get what we got in phases 1 and 2 and 3. But like I said, we know, Cap is back. He may not be Cap in name, but we know, So yeah, guys, I just wanted to give my thoughts over this. I think it's a whole bunch of nothing. It's a nothing burger. The people that are getting upset, they're just emotional, but they're not understanding. It's financial. This is a financial move because they need to make some money. So with that being said, everybody, like I always say, if it's for 1 minute, 5 minutes, or the whole damn video, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to view my content. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe, smash the like, get in the comments and tell me what you think. Are you pissed because they brought Chris Evans back? Did you expect them to bring him back? I did. Soon as I knew Tony Stark was coming back, or not Tony Stark, but Robert Downey Jr., I knew they was going to start bringing the OGs back. It just is what it is. And yeah, so with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and punch out of here, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.